Most sportswear founders don't lose out on the economics of the business because their initial price from the factory is wrong. It's because they didn't factor in all of the other small elements that attach themselves to your final sale price that ultimately eat up your margins. It's the fabric that costs a little bit more. It's the construction detail that adds extra labor and extra complexity. It's the freight option that is a bit faster, but it's more expensive. It's the development costs that you forgot about because you let your samples go overboard because of how many rounds you had. It's the discount that you thought that would help sales, but ultimately added more complexity, more administrative overhead, and ultimately more customer dissatisfaction all around because of a less efficient business model. This is the episode that will show you and get you to go from where did my money go to, I know exactly where I've spent my money on. And in the future, I know how I can create a better margin business in sportswear that is healthy, that is competitive, and that gets me the cash flow that I need to scale to the next level. So without further ado, my name is Shadi. I'm the co-founder and creative director of FittDesign, the world's first sportswear design agency. And over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of brands go from an idea to a physical product in under 30 days. I know a thing or two about what it takes to create a great product to market. And I've worked with brands and founders that are at the higher end of the margins and the lower end of the margins. And I've learned a thing or two about what it takes to really protect your margins without sacrificing a great product. So if you're interested in how you can build a successful business that is founded on strong margins, this is the episode for you. So a lot of founders need to think about margin, and they tend to think about margins in a simple way. They think to themselves, my product cost is $25, that's the FOB price, and I sell it for $80 or $100. So my margin is 4x. The challenge there is that it doesn't take into account all of the other small factors that come into what your actual cost of goods sold is. These can be your time cost, your administrative cost, your freight cost, your import cost. These can be your ad costs, all of the things that actually you have to incur as a business owner in order to get this product to the end user. Because if you think about it, you couldn't have your product in your customer's hands without the freight costs from the factory to you and without the shipping costs from you to the end user. You couldn't have this product in your customer's hands without having had a proper development process that was able to get you the product in your hands to the point where you feel confident to sell it in the first place. All of these things are the cost of doing business that get you to the end part. So in today's episode, we'll be looking at what are the main things that you have to take into account when discussing and considering your margins. And number one is that margins ultimately disappear when you only look at the factory price. This is the first mistake that you make by judging your margins based on a factory quote. A factory might tell you that a legging is $20 per unit. On paper, that sounds good if you plan to sell it for $60 per unit. But the real cost is what it takes to get that product from the factory into your customer's hands. This is your landed cost. So things like your actual cost to get the garment from the factory floor into your warehouse, that's your landed cost. It's the total that it takes that includes delivery from the factory to the port of exit, from the port of exit to the port of import, from the port of import to your warehouse. So if your factory cost is, let's just say $20 for a pair of leggings, your landed cost is going to be closer to around $25 per leggings. And this is where a lot of founders get surprised because they're calculating their margins based off of their FOB price, not on their DDP price. Number two is that product complexity actually eats your profit. And this is the second place that your margins disappear. It's very common, especially when founders are trying to make the best possible product that they want to feel premium, to start adding in extra panels, extra zippers, bonded seams, elastic hems, custom zipper pullers, reflective zipper pullers, a very wide array of packaging. Although all of these things have a time and place. I'm not saying do not add them. If anything, I'm an advocate for knowing the specific elements to add to a product to enhance its perceived value. But in that case, it's effective only when the actual cost that it's contributing to the end product is actually adding double, triple, quadruple the added perceived value. If you look at a lot of luxury brands, the reason they invest heavily into packaging is not because of anything other than perceived value. If you have a $5,000 bag, but it's delivered in a product or a bag that is actually tattered, it's wet, it's torn, your perceived value of the product inside the bag, inside the box is diminished. So it makes sense for them to spend $5, $10 on a nice premium hard box that is going to maintain that perceived value. The same is true for an apparel business, a sportswear business. Of course, at a smaller scale, that's where margins can be eaten up fast if you don't make the right decision. You may not need a hard shell box like a Louis Vuitton, but a nice resealable Ziploc with custom branding on it that tells a little bit of the story, that sells the customer emotionally on why you're the right brand for them, that could go a long way. Adding additional details and complexity is not a bad idea, as I mentioned, but every single detail has a cost. Some details increase the material cost because you're adding in a new fabric that then could require you to have a dyeing surcharge because of a small manufacturing run. Or maybe you increase the defect risk, which makes the production cost of that product more expensive, and a factory has to factor that into their final cost. Some can slow down production, which means opportunity costs. You don't have the product in hand so that you can sell it. Some may require mold or setup fees, which is detrimental for a small business, where those mold and setup fees, instead of being spread across 1,000 pieces, are being spread across 100 pieces. So a zipper or an extra zipper is not just one zipper. It means the zipper cost, the zipper tape, the zipper setup, the back and forth, the review, the time, the effort that is spent to actually bring that zipper to market. So the question isn't only, does this detail look good? Does this detail create enough value to justify the cost? And if it's not doing at least 2 to 4x in additional value, and you can see that clearly and confidently, I would say skip the detail. Number 3 is your freight, your duties, and the timing can change the entire product as a whole. And this is the third place that margins disappear, which is in logistics. A lot of founders treat the shipping sort of like a final detail. They leave it to the end and they think about it at the end. But the shipping can actually change whether or not the product is profitable, because you ultimately have a product that can either be shipped by air express, by air freight, or by sea. And depending on what you pick, it's not just about what the cheapest is. Because if you have a hoodie that needs to arrive by a specific time so that it's relevant for the season that it's in, and you discover that you can't ship it by sea, you have to ship it by air. But it's a hoodie, so it's thick, it's heavy, it's volumetric. It's going to be very expensive to ship that hoodie by sea. But you may not be able to ship it by sea, so you end up having to go through air freight. And it's already very expensive to manufacture that hoodie because you've added all the bells and whistles, and you find yourself with a $50 landed hoodie that you now have to charge at least $120 for in order for it to be remotely profitable. So this is why when you're reviewing your initial pricing from the factory, you need to understand the shipping terms that they're using. EXW, which is X Works, is going to be some of the more common ones that factories, especially if you're engaging with them on a first relationship basis, is going to be quoting you. This means that you take on most of the responsibility of the goods being delivered after they're made. So the factory makes them, they put them on their warehouse, they pack them, but then it's your responsibility from there. Then you have FOB, which means that the factory is responsible for delivering the goods, putting them onto the actual boat that they're meant to be, or the port of discharge that they're meant to be shipped out of, and then you take ownership from there. Or you have DDP, which means delivery duty paid, which means that the factory is responsible for delivering the goods, getting to the port of discharge, port of import, and then all the way to your warehouse, making sure that the goods are insured every step of the way. So you need to ask for options. Do I want DDP by air express? Do I need DDP by air freight? Do I need DDP by sea freight? Those are going to be the options. But just because something is cheaper by sea may not necessarily mean it's possible, as we discussed in the hoodie example. Number 4 is that development costs don't simply disappear just because you ignore them. And this is the fourth margin leak. It's the actual development cost. A lot of founders separate development from the actual cost of the product itself because it's kind of like the process before the actual mass manufacturing. They think to themselves, the sampling was expensive. I had to go through 30, 15, 10 rounds of samples because I ended up going back and forth with the factory, but that's a one-time write-off. You can't write it off because you've ultimately paid for the samples, you paid for the patterns, you paid for the back and forth, the opportunity cost, the not being able to sell that product on time because you didn't make the right product the first time, which is what FittDesign can help you with, is eliminating all of those unnecessary development costs and getting the product right the first time. But this is where your margin can be eaten. It can be eaten in your setup cost for your molds, your prints, your packaging, your back and forth, the fit sessions, the time that you have to spend. So the real question is, how much does the development cost, the first bulk order does, or how much of that product development cost does the first bulk order need to recover for it to be profitable? The easiest way is to take your total development cost, which includes everything that I mentioned to you, split it up by the number of units you're creating. And of course, that development cost gets cheaper and cheaper, or more resourceful, the more and more you create of that product. If you launch one product in one silhouette and it costs you $1,000 to deliver, and you're doing 100 units of that product, then that development cost is $10 a unit, which could be justified, could not, depending on the actual product. This is ultimately why smaller orders can feel safe, but can ultimately be still expensive, because you have fewer units to distribute your development cost. A brand that makes 10,000 pieces of the same product is still paying the same upfront development cost as a brand that's making 100 pieces of the same product. But on the unit economics, it makes a lot more sense to do 1,000, 10,000 pieces of that product and split up that cost. That's why brands like Nike, like Adidas, like Young Elite, like Athlete, like Gymshark, they do not worry too much about their development costs because they understand they have the unit economics to back that up and to make it worth it. And if anything, they are willing to spend upfront to be able to remove the headache because they understand that the faster I can get this product to market, the sooner I can start recuperating and having the cash flow that I need. Next up is that discounts and slow stock can completely destroy the margin that you thought you had. So what does this mean? Ultimately, the fifth place that margins disappear after launch is in the discounting, right? This is the part that founders often avoid thinking about because as they're making more sales with discounts, they essentially think that they had a strong enough margin at full price so they can discount it. Because on paper, that may be true, but when you put it to the test, this is what happens. Let's just say you run a 20% discount, you offer free shipping, you pay for exchanges, you spend more money on ads, you hold inventory for longer, which means that you've spent that money up front, but you're waiting longer to recuperate that cost and to turn over that product. Suddenly, the margin that you calculated at full price is not the margin that you're actually getting. With a discount, the easiest way to look at it is that your actual selling price is lower, but your cost price remains the same. If you look at your time to turn around that product, you've already spent that money. There's an opportunity cost on the money that you've spent before, and you're waiting longer to recuperate it. Every day is a day that you're accumulating more admin costs, more overhead costs, more time opportunity cost, but you're still not making that income from the product. So for a startup business, this means that your full price margin only matters if you sell those products at full price and enough of those products at full price. Because if you end up selling 10 out of 100 of your products at full price and the rest is discounted, your margin isn't 100% or 50%. It's whatever you discounted it for. That's your real margin, or that's what we call as your blended margin. So number 6, what is the margin map that every founder has to build before bulk? And how do you protect yourself? Ultimately, you do this with a proper margin. You do this not after, but before. You start with your retail price in mind, and then you subtract what you've calculated to be your true landed cost. And the easiest way to do this is with a true bill of materials that outlines all of the elements of your product, including the packaging, including the air freight or sea freight or whatever freight, including the warehousing, including the final delivery. And then that's where you get your final cost. Your landed cost means the product is in your warehouse. You need your landed cost and your final cost. That's the most important. And having those two numbers allows you to go from your gross profit to your net profit. So you'll ultimately start with your retail price and then you'll subtract your true landed cost, as I mentioned. This means your product cost, your packaging, your shipping, your duties, your customs, your delivery. And then you'll subtract your selling cost, the cost of doing business, the cost of actually transacting with the customer, payment fees, your fulfillment cost if you have that, return allowance, exchange allowance, platform fees, marketing cost per order if you're using ads, which is essential. And then you add your development recovery, which means your samples, your setup, your custom trims, your molds, your pattern print fees, your tech packs, your photography or content if you have something for a specific campaign. And then you run the discount test. What happens if you sell 70% at full price and then 30% at 20% off? What happens if your shipping becomes higher? What happens if you need another sample round? What happens if one colorway moves slowly and you have to discount it or you have to write it off? This is how you find your real margin. Just because you have something on paper that has a 100% margin may not mean that that is the case in real life. You have to put your actual margin, or again, your blended margin. If you guys want to learn how you put together great products at great margins, and you want to avoid the trap that most founders fall into where they start off with such a small margin to begin with, and then all of a sudden they're selling products at a loss. You can check the link in the description to apply to work with us one-on-one. And we can show you in under 5 minutes how we can get you from a idea to a physical product in under 30 days. Guys, and I say this from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.